In the last 10 years, more than half of the new wealth created globally has gone to the richest 1% of humanity.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the biggest issues plaguing society today.
So the equal opportunity wasn't there, income isn't there, hope isn't there, health wasn't there. All of us should look at that and say, what should we do to lift up society?
Number 10, we're addicted to our phones.
Dr. Anna Radovic's research points to other potential problems.
Some people have talked about the internet and device use having similar addictive properties as things like alcohol use or drug use, where if you don't use it, you feel like you're in withdrawal, you feel irritable, like you can't get to it.
This may sound a little funny coming from a YouTube channel, but just ask Dr. Brent Nelson, psychiatrist and chief medical information officer for Southern California-based Newport Healthcare, who says that smartphones have wide-reaching changes all over the brain.
It creates a dysfunctional relationship. When we think of families and friends, if they're telling you that you're not paying attention to me, it's actually a breakdown in communication. Having those cell phones next to the bedtime has been clinically shown to disrupt sleep. More than anything, people start to feel agitated and moody when they can't put the phone down.
According to Dr. Nelson, a smartphone-addicted brain is working way harder than it should when you're scrolling away the hours, leading to what's popularly known as brain rot. According to the Toronto Star, research shows phone use interferes with concentration and sleep and is correlated with higher rates of depression, anxiety, stress, and loneliness. While we're by no means saying that all phone use is bad, your mental health will likely thank you for cutting down on screen time.
Or an adult is more likely to say, okay, I've been on my phone for 2 hours now, it's time to go to sleep. A young person may lack that ability just by very nature of their age.
Number 9, the quick but far from painless death of in-person culture.
Well, this had all of us talking. A new study looking at the pros and cons of remote work.
Economists at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York say young workers may be missing the power of proximity. Like this.
It probably goes without saying that, like Thanos snapping his fingers in Avengers Infinity War, the COVID-19 pandemic changed the world we knew almost instantly. Perhaps the biggest change was the remote work boom brought on by social distancing.
I think this sort of captures something that maybe some of us know intuitively, but it's been tough to measure, right? Which is that a lot of career development, and especially early career development, comes through these sort of informal channels.
As such, while Americans have increasingly spent less and less time in each other's physical company over the years, The Atlantic's Derek Thompson pointed out that FaceTime dropped a whopping 30% from 2003 to 2022. Similarly, a 2024 Preply study found over 50% of Gen Z remote workers in Canada felt that their social skills had taken a turn for the worse since the rise of telework. In other words, we could all benefit from touching grass a little more often.
An American study of career success at a U.S. tech firm pre-COVID found that the more often someone worked from home, the less likely they were to see pay increases.
Number 8, our data is for sale.
The last time you shopped online for a pair of shoes, did the ads follow you for days or even weeks? Well, your internet provider knows far more about your browsing habits than Google, Facebook, or Amazon. And now that provider can legally sell that information without your permission.
Big Brother is watching. Well, not exactly anyway. As noted by security.org, many of the useful services and apps we take advantage of on a daily basis are nominally free, like Google Maps. But the hidden cost is that we as users pay for them in the form of data.
Location data typically comes from apps that log the movements of a person's phone. Often people aren't even aware the terms and conditions of these programs allow the information to be collected. The data is then sold to aggregators, who in turn sell it to advertisers looking for consumer trends.
Just by simply using ubiquitous social media platforms like Facebook, X, and Instagram, we agree to privacy policies and allow these services to sell off our personal data to third-party advertisers. Computer security researcher Christopher Boyd may have summed it up the best in saying that, quote, when a product is free, the commodity is you and your data.
This is something that consumers are not necessarily aware of, and a lot of the companies say that this is anonymous data, but what we were able to show was that you could identify people in it.
Number 7, we don't trust our institutions anymore.
A new survey from the Pew Research Center finds the nation increasingly distrustful of the federal government. The findings released today show that about 1/4 of Americans trust government to do the right thing, always or most of the time. A whopping 73% do not. And those surveyed blame members of Congress.
The Pew Research Center determined that in 2023, public trust in the American federal government was at an all-time low, at just 16%. That failing trust, a trend which Pew says began with the escalation of the Vietnam War, is due to several factors. Said businessman Richard Edelman in January of 2025, these factors include the Great Recession, rise of populism, and the lasting aftershocks of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Our studies show that trust in government falls when the economy is difficult and people don't think that government's effective in dealing with it. They fall at times of unpopular wars, Vietnam, Iraq. And now I think the tumble, and the concern here with government is gridlock.
People are skeptical of scientists, and as a result are increasingly looking to alternative and occasionally disreputable sources of medical information. All hope is not lost, though. According to Pew, a large majority of Americans still trust in small businesses, police officers, and public school principals.
Only 25% have a favorable view of Congress. 90% of the people who ran for re-election got re-elected.
Number 6, civility has seemingly evaporated.
We are the divided states of America. When you have such a divided society and you have very hostile, anger-infused rhetoric stemming from political elites.
The division between parties slowly has been trickling down from D.C.
It's the classic age-old question. Why can't we all just get along? In our gradually more polarized society, it seems like the answer is more elusive than it's ever been. As living conditions for everyday Americans and regular folks around the world have become more and more difficult, it becomes proportionately more difficult to show civility to people whose viewpoints differ significantly from our own.
Since President Trump was elected, has the overall tone and level of civility in Washington gotten worse? 70%, stayed the same, 20 improved, 6 Stu. I guess no surprise here.
To some, it would seem that polite debate and well-thought-out discourse is no longer enough for their voices to truly be heard. And when we can't agree with each other about issues that are personally important to us, we get peeved.
Jeff Worrell is an at-large city council member in Carmel. He noticed a change in tone during the city's last local election cycle.
Very inflammatory advertisements, postcards in citizens' mailboxes, half-truths, lies sometimes.
Number 5, the ongoing homelessness crisis.
Any and everywhere you go, in and out of stores, homeless, homeless, homeless.
What was once largely confined to the city's notorious Skid Row can now be seen all across Los Angeles. Hundreds of homeless encampments have sprung up, including this one in the shadow of City Hall.
It's just like, like the world's just caving in on you.
For a problem that most of us encounter every day, it seems like frustratingly little is being done to combat the growing wave of homelessness. In the United States, the problem of homelessness has accelerated drastically following the COVID-19 pandemic.
Homelessness in the United States has reached a record high. That's according to a new report from the federal government, which found Massachusetts was among the states with the biggest jump year to year. WBZ's Julie McDonald says this report puts some hard numbers on a problem that many communities are struggling with.
The reasons for this are nuanced and complex, but key among them are a lack of affordable housing, as well as individual factors like mental health and substance use disorder. To that end, 2023 brought never-before-seen levels of homelessness in Los Angeles and New York City, and the following year saw it rise by a record 18%. While the solutions to problems like homelessness may be clear, implementing them is unfortunately a completely different story.
Tony, encampments can be cleared now in cities like Sacramento from anywhere. Before this ruling, it was only on critical infrastructure. But even with those changes, advocates say the need for housing and long-term solutions is still unchanged and very needed.
Number 4, rampant inflation.
Americans are feeling like just as the embers of inflation are still kind of smoldering, that it could ignite and there could be inflation again.
Don't worry, you're not imagining it. Things are definitely more expensive than they used to be. During COVID, inflation at one point reached a rate of 9%, a record high for the generation. As noted by NerdWallet, prices in America surged more than 26% on average from 2019 to 2025.
Consumer prices actually rose
And we look at consumer prices, as you know, two ways. One, all of them, and the other when you take out food and energy, what we call core, which is this blue line right here. And core is running now at about 3.3%. It's gone up for 4 months in a row. It is the highest it's been in over a year.
Specifically, groceries were up by 29%, rent by 32%, and gas by a whopping 37%. The result of supply chain disruptions, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and myriad other factors, inflation is a problem as long as wages fail to keep pace. At this rate, the gulf between rich and poor only continues to grow.
There's uncertainty today with President Trump's tariff plan, as Americans are worried about the increased cost of living that is expected to come. Customers at Living Fresh Market in Forest Park are grabbing all the everyday goods they can before prices start to rise, and the store is getting ready too.
Number 3, things are more polarized than they've ever been.
So if you look at studies about the kinds of people that run for Congress, they're increasingly being drawn from people who are more on the extremes rather than the middle.
According to a study by Pew Research Center, liberals and conservatives have viewed each other with growing disdain over the years. Most of these intense partisans believe the opposing parties' policies are so misguided that they threaten the nation's well-being. Media outlets also benefit by turning increasingly partisan, generating an us versus them mentality.
We spoke to, a family in which a pair of half-sisters are entirely estranged from their third sibling and simply will not communicate with that person, believing that she is somehow, under the gauze of some sort of conspiracy.
Said Dr. Lucas Wolf, researcher at the Department of Psychology at the University of Bath. This polarization, quote, means people become pessimistic about the future because the division in society stands in the way of compromise and cooperation for a better future. As such, it's best to view all media with a critical eye and interrogate why certain talking points feel true or false to you.
Jerry Levasseur has felt the impact of this growing polarization in her own community and even her own family.
I do have a brother who is very liberal, so we just don't talk politics at all, ever.
Number 2, the proliferation of fake news and disinformation.
A new survey reveals where more than Gen Z teens get their news, and according to Deloitte, it's mainly on social media.
On those platforms, a CBS News investigation found misinformation about the conflict between Israel and Hamas is widespread, and it can be tough to distinguish what's real.
There are more problems with social media than just being addicted to it. Arguably the most worrying one of all is its effectiveness in spreading information that's patently false or actively malicious to scoop up a few bucks in advertising revenue. Other times it works in favor of partisan politics. U.S. President Donald Trump has often dismissed criticism of him by labeling it fake news or as an intentional hit job.
Yeah, this was the first time that Americans really had to reckon with the power of lies to move virally over social media. What happened with the internet was it lowered the barriers to entry to political communication. And
a recent Dutch study found that, quote, radical right populists are using misinformation as a tool to destabilize democracies and gain political advantage, said one of their authors. Fake news hurts us all and leaves us prone to increased polarization. Yet another reason to buck up on media literacy.
The first step is having awareness of how susceptible we are to misinformation and disinformation.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into settings and switch on your notifications. Number 1, increased income inequality.
$465 billion. That's how much richer Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and the world's richest men got in the last 4 years, according to a new report from the UK-based charity organization Oxfam. That amounts to $14 million per hour. Oxfam says, on the other hand, nearly 5 billion people are poorer than they were 4 years ago.
Simply put, there's no two ways around it. The rich are getting richer than ever, and the poor are getting poorer than ever. According to a 2024 Congressional Budget Office report that looked at household income in 2021, the top 1% of households made more than 6 times as much total income as the bottom quintile of households, and has become more pronounced since 1981.
Diamond recently wrote an opinion piece for the Washington Post aimed at the next American president, stressing the need for national unity and equal opportunity for all, warning that the American dream is disappearing for many because opportunity is not shared equally.
It's not limited to the U.S. either. Statistics Canada has noted that income inequality in America's neighbor to the north has reached its highest levels in history. Knowing that, then, makes it all the more apparent as to why people are just fed up.
People are not making enough money. They're working the 2 or 3 part-time jobs. They may not have full benefits or health care to provide for their families, and they still haven't recovered from the effects of the pandemic.
With all of that having been said, what are some things that make you smile? Be sure to let us know in the comments below.
If something seems too good to be true and sort of flatters your biases, it's something delightfully negative about a public figure you hate or something unbelievably great about someone you like, do a simple fact check.